special of baked baked chicken that falls off the bone with mustard greens, cabbage, and broccoli and cheese casserole. You'll also find some awesome desserts and refreshing beverages. Mama's Oven, open 7 days a week, 9255 South Main, near NRG Stadium. Call 713-661-3656. 713-661-3656.
Have you dropped your denture or partial and cracked it? Has a tooth fallen off? No need to wait 2 or 3 days for a repair. At Sunnyside Dental, we have an in-house dental lab. In most cases, we can fix that denture or partial while you wait. That's right, same-day denture repair while you wait. Call Sunnyside Dental, 713-738-1999. 713-738-1999. Let's get that denture fixed because you know what? You cannot go to church like that.
Houston, your voice is...
See, look, turn this one on. This is the laptop. So they can hear when they come on. And this is about to be my sound right here. I normally start about 3 seconds. When they say keeping it hot,
At 12:32 COH.
mics are still off. Yeah. So the music's still on. So now when you turn on the mic, my level is about right here. So I'll turn up my mic and I'll turn down my wave. Your wave is just a computer, it's whichever one you label it. All right. So listen how it sounds now. Yes, yes, yes. Round and round we go. Round and round we go. We are still going around and round in circles. How is it going, you guys? I hope everybody is having a wonderful Friday. My name is Tyrone Irvin. This is Soapbox Heroes, and we got some things that we are going to talk about today. I say that every day, don't I? And every day we have some things that we talk about. Today I want to talk about conventional thinking. Yes, indeed, conventional thinking. I have some clips and something else that I want to play. Every now and then, you'll sit there and you'll listen to someone speak. And as you listen to them speak, you'll notice them saying things that they don't even notice that they're saying. And they don't know that what they're saying is affecting other people. And so I want to talk about conventional thinking. I heard a speech the other day, and for the most part, it was very understandable. Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, and the most part, it was very understandable, but some of it, it just seems, you know, out of touch and in line with conventional thinking that I feel, you know, kind of, you know, just keeps us in a state of perpetual unknowing, a state of confusion. And, you know, we don't like the confusion around here. We like to keep things nice and crispy, clear. So we're going to talk about that, you guys. I want to talk about some good news. I also want to talk about why I love being black. Why I love being black. I don't like being black. I love being black. We talk about so many things, but do we ever talk about why we love being who and what we are? I mean, love, like really love being black. You know, when people say, would you ever trade to be a black person? Another person be like, oh, no. If you ask me if I would ever trade to be someone else, I would have to say no. I would have to say no. We also, look, Will and Jada, we talked about them last week. I guess Jada came back and admitted it and said, yeah, she was getting down doing the horizontal polka. She was doing the horizontal polka with August Alsina. We're not really going to get into that. I just wanted to let you know Those were the updates. But yeah, we're going to talk about that, you guys, amongst other things. Again, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go ahead and dive into this unconventional thinking. The unconventional thinking. You got to watch out for it. I'm going to show you guys some of the subtleties in what people say. And also, it's going to tie in with why young people are so frustrated with the system. Because there's definitely a reason. There's definitely a reason. Things don't just happen for no reason. And I want to show, I'm trying to piece together why we may be so divided and how we could come together on that divide as far as ideologies and the way that we look at things as people. Because I believe it could be done. I believe it could be done. And so we're going to talk about that first, the conventional thinking. And then, and if you guys want to call in and tell me why you love being Black, 713-668-1230. 713-668-1230. This is Soapbox Heroes. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back right after this.
Arrest the killers. Taylor. All of y'all who think we need more evidence, you goofy. I said arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. And Elijah McClain too. Y'all hold that boy, arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. All of y'all who think we need more evidence, you goofy. I said arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. You catch the vibe? Look it off my page.
Yeah, we took a break, a real short break. So look, I wanted to start right there. I thought that was good to hear today. That was Toby, Houston's own Toby. And I like the message right there. He said, arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. If you need any more evidence, then you would joke. All right. So, hey, you guys, look, I want to go ahead and talk about this conventional thinking thing. And I find in the times that we are, conventional thinking is a lot of the divide. There's people who want a change. There's people who want a drastic change. And this is the time where a drastic change is necessary. And when we don't see the drastic change, it's going to make a lot of people feel a lot of angst and make a lot of people want to go ahead and drop out of politics, drop out of trying to deal with the system. And when we talk about a party where we only have, well, a system to where it seems we have two dominant parties, all we could really do is rely on them. And that's something we are going to talk about later, you guys, too. We're going to talk about Jo Jorgensen. If you haven't heard about her, she's running for president as well. And I find it funny that we have another viable candidate that has been running for president, been in a race, met the big things of that nature, and nobody is giving her any airplay. And so we're going to go ahead and give some airplay. Well, we're just going to talk about it just so we can make sure that we're covering all things and not just things that are full of sensationalism. Because Kanye West running for president, that was really about sensationalism. Whether he really is or whether he wasn't, it being plastered upon the news and we talked about it for days and days in, that was sensationalism. Here as well. And I had to realize, I said, self, well, if you're going to do that, you have to talk about everybody. You have to give everybody who's running some breath, especially for somebody who says, you know what, I'm tired of the two-party system. We need a new type of system. We need to break out of this stronghold that has us. And here I am myself being a part of the circus. Being a part of the circus and not talking about all viable candidates, but talking about the most interesting ones. And then when an interesting development happens, we're going to talk about the interesting development. But that's not doing any justice to Jo Jorgensen, someone who was already running, someone who I think, deserves at least to be heard. Because we get caught up in this system where we keep saying, well, we only have two choices. We got to choose between the lesser of two evils. And right now we actually have a third candidate. And no, I'm not talking about Kanye West. And so we're going to get to that later. We're going to get to that later, but I want to play, this is Nancy Pelosi talking about the statues. And what I notice is she's taking a tone to where it seems as if she's a populist. But if you listen closely, she kind of contradicts herself. And when she contradicts herself, I don't think it's even something that she's doing maliciously or on purpose. I think it's just that conventional wisdom. That's just conventional thinking. You know, the thinking that has us, well, not us, that has certain people believing that the things that they read in the history books growing up are true. When we know that a lot of these things are true, like the founding of America, and you know that it wasn't just some pleasant voyage, and you know us not knowing exactly that who the navigator was, and that there were people here, and other things of that nature. These are all things that are a misconception because of the way we have been taught growing up, and the way we have been taught is, you know, it isn't always true. And again, it's a lot of conventional thinking. And so I'm going to do this right here, and I'm going to show you guys what I mean when I say conventional thinking. Now, this is going to be Nancy Pelosi herself. All right. And so I'm getting the clip ready. And again, it is she's talking about the statues being torn down, because that's something that we see right now. We see the battle over all these statues, the Confederate statues. We see the battle over Christopher Columbus statues in different places, George Washington, people who owned slaves. And so what she's going to do is she's going to give her opinion on the times that we are in and what's going on. All right. And the clip, it says, Pelosi admits she doesn't care if statues are torn down by mobs. And I have to read that title because I'm going to be honest with you, the people who posted it, I think, have a slant. Because when you throw in the being torn down by mobs, that's already giving you a feeling of what to think about what she says. And so I'm just looking at it as she's giving a speech about the statues, okay? But I like to give you the framing properly how I saw it and it was given to me, just so you know, but I'm not looking at it through that lens because, again, in my opinion, that is a partisan lens. That is to create the thought before she says anything. But we're going to listen to what she says, and I'm going to let you guys know the part that I find actually troubling, all right? And I don't think she tried at all. I think it's just something that happened. So let's hear from Nancy Pelosi.
I don't care that much about statues.
By a respectfully, shouldn't that be done by a commission or the city council, not a mob in the middle of the night throwing it into the harbor?
People do what they do. It is.
Madam Speaker, this question is close to home for you. The city of Richmond is obviously in sync with your desire for the Confederate statues, but in Baltimore and Little Italy, the statue of Christopher Columbus was removed or taken down. And I wonder if you have anything to share about that.
Well, I'm not a big, you know, I don't even have my grandmother's earrings. I'm not a big, let's see what we have.
See, when she says, I don't even have my grandmother's earrings, right there is what she's talking about. She's talking about, I'm not big on tradition, things passed down through tradition. Now, okay, now let's just keep listening to her, and I'm going to tell you what I mean about the conventional thinking.
In terms of monuments and this, I'm more interested in what people have accomplished. I think that it's up to the communities to decide what statues they want to see.
And here, I'm going to add this too. She says, I think it's up to the communities to decide which statues that they want to see. Now, what about when we have communities that are mixed? When you have a community of, you say, you know, half the people want to keep it, half the people want to get rid of it. Then what do you do? Then what do you do? See, just saying this it's very safe to say, well, I think it's up to the communities to decide whether or not they have statues. But that's the problem that we're seeing. We're seeing communities clashing over statues. So to say that, you know, I want to leave it up to the communities, well, that's what we have now. We have communities trying to figure it out, but it's turning into a clash. So I just wanted to leave that there. Let's listen to some more.
I think that it's very important that we take down any of the statues of people who committed treason against the United States of America, as those statues exist in the Congress of the halls of Congress, in the rotundas, not the rotunda, I don't think, but in the
And I agree with her. She says if they've committed treason, then their statue should come down. But she's talking about in Congress, in the halls of Congress. Okay, and so when it comes to the neighborhoods, when it comes to the communities, it should be up to the communities. But when we get in the halls of Congress, they should come down. All right, even though it's probably a split in Congress. But that's not it. That's not it. I'm going to play what I'm talking about when I say conventional wisdom. Not conventional wisdom. I take that back. Conventional thinking. In my opinion, there's a difference between conventional thinking and conventional wisdom. So I'm going to get to where she comes with the conventional thinking.
Statuary Hall and the rest promote some of them are.
You look it up.
But I'm not one of those people who's wedded to, a statue to somebody someplace is an important thing. I don't, again, if the community doesn't want the statue there, the statue shouldn't be there. That doesn't diminish my pride or my Italian American heritage and the fact that it was a country discovered by Italian, named for an Italian American. Vespucci.
All right, now that's what I'm talking about right there, that conventional thinking. Now, this is Nancy Pelosi, and she's saying this is a country that was discovered by an Italian and named after an Italian, and she takes that nostalgic tone. She's smiling, so she has pride. But what we understand is the truth about what Christopher Columbus did. And so for her to sit, so in my opinion, yes, statues and monuments are one thing, but standing there with full knowledge of the truth and giving a revisionist history because that's what is taught, that's just as dangerous in my personal opinion. So I'm going to play a little bit more and I'm going to come over to the phone.
Discovered by an Italian, named for an Italian, Amerigo Vespucci. So I have that pride, but I don't care that much about statues.
Okay, and again, and I have that pride because she's Italian. I have that pride. So she doesn't care about the statues. But the thing about the statues, it's the history. So I understand, and yes, I care about the statues, but I'm more concerned with the accurate portrayal of history. And so to make it like America was just happily discovered by just some Italian guy that just came with a kind heart and kindred spirit, that isn't the truth. That isn't the truth. And so while we're caught up talking about the statues and the monuments, let's listen to the history, because a lie is a lie.
Amerigo Vespucci. So I have that pride, but I don't care that much about statues.
Respectfully, shouldn't that be done by a commission or the city council, not a mob in the middle of the night throwing it into the harbor?
People do what they do. I do think that from a safety standpoint, it would be a good idea to have it taken down if the community doesn't want it. I don't know that it has to be a commission, but it just could be a community view. And sometimes something that's been there, that view has been there for.
And how do you measure the view of a community? Like, this is very safe because, again, there are going to be some statues that are in communities where the community may want it up, but the statue or monument may need to come down based on what it represents. So are we giving the power to the people who say, well, hey, this is where we live. I don't care if this person hung black people, killed people, took over land. Even Nancy Pelosi says it's up to the community. Our community wants it to stay. So what she's saying is very safe. But again, that's not even the part that I'm taking issue with. I'm taking issue with the history. And again, listen closely. She says, I don't care about statues. She don't care about symbolism, but she cares about the way the history is narrated. She goes on herself to say about how Christopher Columbus, that's where her pride is. Her pride is in the history, not the statue, but it's the history that's beating us down. Soapbox Heroes caller, you on the line? What's on your mind?
What's going on, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How you feeling?
Well, I see you still killing and dealing. One thing about you, you analyze, you like a scientist, but you know, for the most part, you know, it's obvious he got a little ego, but like I say, I'm a student of history. The reality of the statute is, what country who has fought another country in a world war and they put up the enemy statue in public places?
Never.
Sit in your history books to read. You can even put a picture somewhere in the book. But in a public place, oh, the fact is, 5 days after the Civil War ended, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated.
Yep.
Vice President Andrew Johnson took over the reins of president. And he was from the South, but he represented, you know, government, but he was in charge, and he wanted to put the United States back together again. So quickly, he was in a rush. So what he did was, the governor who was in charge, the military governors in charge that was in the South, that means they are part of the Confederacy.
Right.
He appointed them as governor of that state because he wanted to reunite. But he did not have a policy saying that y'all can have governor power, but everything that you do, you cannot monetize no end with the United States. We are uniting them. So if we do not celebrate our enemies by putting them statues up there,
Right.
it happened.
Right.
The history. But just a common sense would tell you, and Nancy, you know, I like Nancy, but you know, I don't know whether she took an overdose of Zantac. Because sometimes I'll be kind of thinking that she's on prescription drugs, really. And she, and I'm kind of like, again, just being tired of this dude, this fake man, fake president, that's in charge. So don't worry about it. He listened, and people telling her, he'll regroup. But there should not be no Confederate statue.
Right. Right.
Our enemy, because we united again, you don't give them no fine thing you go there and put up. You don't put your enemy statues, monuments up.
Right. And do you notice what she's doing is saying, but it's up to the communities, you know? And so it sounds great what she's saying. I don't like them. I don't care if you take them away. I don't have no pride in that. But then she says, but it's up to the communities, you know? And so, because there are going to be communities that want them up. And she's basically saying that's just fine. But this is the thing that I'm paying attention to. When she says in there, you know, she basically says, you know, I don't care about the statues because I'm more proud of the history. But the history that she's talking about is revisionist history. It's not true.
Your history.
But did Christopher Columbus just float over here with just an open mind and heart and find America by himself?
Came over here under the orders of the Queen so that he can find riches, money.
I
forgot.
The Pina.
3 ships. The name or whatever, and
the Pina.
Then in the elementary school, at Black Elementary School on Holman. 50. So, you know, that's when they taught real Black history somewhat back then, stated, because everything had to be approved by the board, which was all white in HIC schools. So, you know, it was up to the teachers to kind of fill in and don't go by all the books. Like when I taught for one semester, I told kids the way it is, how I learned. I mean, I taught two specific subjects, principles of law and I forgot what, law enforcement one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I found kids very lacking, and I had to tell them, if you don't listen and learn how to pay attention, if you don't learn how to, because they were failing so many things.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying about that, how do you get in school? So before I even started first grade,
Mm-hmm.
I had already learned how to read, do my ABC stuff, forward and backwards, and my grandmother taught me in field for.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about being responsible, and those factors, they should have never been there in the first place, but Andrew Johnson, it would surprise me if he had something to do with assassination.
Me neither, because next man in line, and you know how that go. In next man in line. But look, let me ask you this: what did you? Am I crazy, or am I on track? Because when she's talking about her pride in Christopher Columbus and finding America, she gets gleeful. And what I'm saying is, I don't think she's doing it on purpose. I think she's doing it because that's the way that history has been taught. And because he is somebody of her same lineage, of her same race, she gets ecstatic when talking about it. And so she don't care about the statues. But what I want her to say is what I would love if she said, you know what? I don't want the statues, but I want to fix the history. Because she's talking about it as if it's true. And that has been perpetuated throughout society. And we're looking at things in a context that they really shouldn't be in, because we have learned these things. And so we have the Speaker of the House, I say the most powerful woman in the United States. That's my personal thoughts on Nancy Pelosi.
Only problem, because they do a thing. I don't know when somebody had a gun to her head, or like I say, you short of ODing on their because in that position right there, she just can't drink a sip of wine or something. I don't know what she's doing.
She could drink some wine. You know, she could drink some fine wine. She owned all them vineyards in California. She owned half of Northern California.
Go to Napa Valley when I was staying at Family Airport.
When
we got paid every 2 weeks. We wouldn't like the other services, we got paid once a month. And we come to our mailbox and I got broke all the time because got parted when I was young in the military. But years ago, we got broke. Me, Grady Moore from Mobile, Alabama, Big Nose Russ from Cleveland, Ohio, and my man, good boys, Willie D. Carr from Florida, Miami, Florida. Yeah, we would get in my ride. We'd go right there to Napa Valley, because you go there, you drink, you sample the wine for free. The sample, you get quite a few samples. You be leaving them places a little tipsy. It was killing. We would get no beating in the middle. We all right.
Right.
But because I was always designated driving in when I was 15, and we go to the festival. And the club, that's when the club stayed open till 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning.
I know a couple places stay open that late, but I'm not gonna tell it out loud on the radio. Go ahead.
And I think about that, and when I look at back in the day, because they didn't have to worry about idiots and stuff back then. We was the teenagers, we baby boomers. I'm 40, and I love the miniskirt women and big ankles.
And big ankles. Ain't nothing wrong with Ain't nothing wrong with no big ankles. But look, hey, I'm gonna jump on. I gotta finish this topic. Let me let you get the last word about it. Tell me what you think about this. Look, and I don't think that she's saying anything wrong on purpose. I don't think she's purposely saying nothing wrong. So I'm not going there. What I'm saying is just subconsciously, she has this gleeful nostalgia of American history when it's false. That should be the problem. Spivey, you wouldn't be up there talking about how proud you are of Christopher Columbus.
I'm a brother.
Right?
And his brother, even if there was a brother that did, well, it couldn't have been no brother, because we couldn't even get on no anyway. Only way we got on the ship, we was at the bottom and train. So, now I just think that that was a blooper. You ever know bloopers and stuff like that?
Spivey, I don't even think it was a blooper. I just think that's who she is. That's what a lot of Americans, well, a lot of Caucasians, and not even just Caucasians, but people who subscribe to the traditional education of America, that's just what they believe. And I find that just as problematic as the statues. Go ahead, Spivey.
Oh, absolutely. But all I say is the day is coming. We gonna have we gonna make America truly great again. And this won't be a sleight of hand like a magician. It's all about what can be done in your mind. And that man up there, and I lose that term, Lucian, he has infiltrated the okie with his billions of dollars. So they say, we might find out he's done welfare when he really.
He might be. Spivey, you hear this? It's a party called the People's Party. And the People's Party are people who are coming together who are, just kind of tired of both of the two parties. And they're more of a progressive type of liberal party. And they're going to protest in 36 different places on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. And they're going to protest Mitch McConnell's house. And they go into their house, Spivey, to the house. They go in, yeah, they go into the source. They're going to Mitch McConnell's house. They're going to Nancy Pelosi's house. They're going to Ted Cruz's house. They're going to, I think, not Gavin Newsom's house. They're going to everybody. They're in Congress. So,
look at him. Just look at his physical features. Okay. Can you imagine as a teenager?
I don't want to imagine him as a teenager.
And to get him to do that, and he's putting revenge on the people. I don't know what school he went to. It don't make no difference. But this man, let me tell you something. I can tell the difference when I see him. I grew up from the old school. I can look at it, dude. He was picked on.
You see that? No matter if they'll say something about every Republican.
He is who he is. And he gonna lose. He gonna lose his job like all these Republicans. Fans, November, guess what?
What?
It's gonna be all. And I want Joe Biden to take advantage of having the House filled with Democrats and the Senate too. And he can take more advantage than our former president, which I admire, President Obama. But I think he was going to show both parties.
Well, he was trying. He was trying to be too fair in the lion's den, and the lion don't care. They just want the meat. But look, the People's Party are protesting both parties because of the inadequate bills that have come up to deal with the coronavirus by both parties, and so they out there ready to protest. Spivey, how you think that's gonna go? Do you think they're gonna stay home?
They already know that a man got he's gonna release rods and stones. Already said.
Well, he better do something. You see what the Supreme Court ruled on his finances, right?
That's right.
And the funny part is, the judge that he appointed didn't vote his way. So, two of them, right?
And you know what? This is what happened. I learned this as a child, growing up, going to vacation Bible school and stuff, let me tell you. Oh, you can get away with some stuff some of the time. And what that Abraham Lincoln say, and all some of the time, but you can't fool the people all the time, because for the simple reason why, this time is coming. White people dying from this disease. He ain't doing nothing but making excuses, because his whole motivation is for myself, skills and what I observed. You knew it was coming down the Obama administration. You choose to dissolve the research team that's already working on vaccines and stuff in the case, because they knew it come to the United States. He did that because he wanted so bad to be reelected that he's ready to kill off everybody that is not Republican. But you don't know all the Republicans gonna vote against him. Have a few.
Well, I think it's going to be a lot of the people who were no Trumpers from the beginning that are going to vote for him. That's not going to be surprising. But hey, Spivey, we do got to go now. I'm at the top of the hour, man.
Don't worry about it. I'm still going to listen to you. That's what I do.
Absolutely.
I go to the store and bring substance to my life.
Hey, you bring substance to us. Thanks a lot, Spivey. I appreciate it. Absolutely, absolutely. Anybody on the line? I'm gonna take a commercial break and play a quick song, and we're gonna get back to the line. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that conventional thinking. The conventional thinking, statues, the monuments. I think they need to go. But I also think what needs to go is this revisionist history. Because if we get rid of the monuments, but we keep the history, did we really win the battle? Because now we have something we don't have to look at, but we have something that our children still have to learn. And that part, in my opinion, is troubling. And it lets people have a false perception of the way things really are. And those are the things I need to think needs to get fixed. We'll be right back right after this.
KCOH, Houston, Blast.
Just like Nancy Pelosi's all proud of Amerigo's best future. Okay, how can you discover a land when there's people already there? What the hell did you discover?
Nothing.
Christopher Columbus too. Both of y'all came here, and there's people already here.
So
you shouldn't get credit for none of that shit.
So that's my point. They stole it, and she's up there like, well, we discovered America. So what she's saying is, I don't give a damn about the statues. We still get credit for discovering it. You could take the statues, you can't take the history. And she's saying it right in your face. And she's saying it subconsciously. She's not even like, because she wouldn't say it if she thought it would be ill-conceived. She's saying it that way because that's how she feels. Like, this is me.
Pride, in her statement.
Pride. I have pride, yeah.
And so that's I don't think they should get no credit for none of it.
They shouldn't give Christopher Columbus credit for nothing.
All y'all did was just overpower the people that you found.
He got lost and found something, and his navigator was black. That got him most of the way. So when she said, listen, and the name Americanus, like, that's the problem. It's not just the statues. That's small. That's something that's emotional. But you're learning this lie as history. And the thing is, there's nobody there nobody checks it because it's just normal. Awkward Minaj, what's up? How'd they find something that's already right? It's impossible. We about to play Spivey song right.
At 1230KCOH.com.
Yeah, pause when it came back. That's the guy I just called.
He made that song.
He going agree at home right now. Going crazy. We'll be right back right after the song.
You do that and keep left like telling, hold on. You know,
And the cold part is, nobody else playing stuff. I'll play it. Okay, hold on 1 second. And he sing every verse. The background and all that.
You are my atmosphere, the very air I breathe is alive. Never thought I would love you. If this is little something you can never want. Why free the friends and skills? We need to love the people. Not the sweet love.
See, now this, the music over here is playing off of this computer. So again, you turn that up so you could blend in when this go out, you want to start playing this one. So you just have to make sure whatever channels you want to play is on. And so if you turn on somebody else's mic, you just press it on and off. All boards work the same. It's not hard. You see? I can turn back this one down.
so now you playing off of it.
We are back. We are back. We are back. And we're going to get to the phones. Soapbox Heroes caller, you on the line? What's on your mind? Hello, 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 hello. You are wrong. Oh.
The People's Party, I am certainly down for it.
Yes.
Get involved, at least in, even in your own kind of way. Just get involved somehow. I feel like, like you said, we gotta go back to the history of it all. Especially with so much technology available to us, we need to be doing our due diligence and doing the proper research that we need to do to find these things out. Granted, the educational system for a lot of us Black folks isn't that great. So for those of us that do know how to properly research, how to come to those conclusions, how to use those critical thinking skills, we need to use our voice. We need to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
We can do to reach everyone else, so we can see a change.
Right.
The people saying this is the only way it can be. When if you read the laws, you read the Constitution, you read all of these things, that's not the only way it can be.
Not close. Yeah.
They pretty much gave us a choice, and they gave us the illusion
Of a choice. Here are your two choices. You guys are free to do whatever you want.
we have many different political parties.
Right.
They all have their own lane, right? But there are so many other options, and if we can all just unify and come together and decide who we are going to vote for, what we will or will not stand for, we can get a lot further.
Yes.
Tell me the black vote counts for nothing when we stood up as a unified group and got a black man in office, whether he did shit for us or not.
Whoa. Don't curse. Don't curse.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Whether he did anything for us or not, we got him in office. Period. Because we made a stand, we made a choice, and we moved.
Highest voter turnout ever.
Exactly.
It could definitely be done. It could be done. So, look, the People's Party, I was just telling the last caller, I was telling Spivey, they're having a nationwide protest at members of Congress's home to demand people's stimulus this Saturday. So it's this Saturday, and I'm looking at the headline. And so what I find amazing is that they're not just going to protest at Republicans' homes. They're going to Democratic senators' homes as well. And I think that is the type of movements and stuff that needs to be happening right now, because we focus so much on one party to where we don't realize when they're both playing us together. And I think that's why the People's Party and parties like that, movements like that, are going to have a grassroots groundswell that if you're not ready for it, you may not know about it, but it might run you over. It needs to run you over. Go ahead. Yeah.
Put the pressure on them in the right way. Show up to town hall meetings, city hall meetings, council meetings. Show up with your voice, but show up with the same agenda every single time you show up. You can't show up 1 week wanting this, 1 week wanting that. Pick one thing, attack it from there, one by one, but solid. I'm sorry.
With the, and you have to have a particular agenda. When I look at the People's Party, they have a particular agenda. And for example, a lot of people may not have heard about it, but they've already done it before. They went to Gavin Newsom's house for days in a row because they wanted him to defund the police. Well, defund, I think, is a tricky name. Reallocate funds from one department to another. That sounds less dramatic, but that's what they wanted. So they went to his house, not to his office. Not they made phone calls. It was but he couldn't go to work. And a few days later, $150 million came out of that police budget because they knew what they wanted. And that's what I noticed a lot of time. We don't really know what we want. We'll know what we want, but we'll move without being specific about what we want. When you look at these other groups, they know exactly what they want. And they go after specific things. And that's how they get it. And so I think that we need to focus on doing things like that. Let me ask you this. What do you think about Nancy Pelosi? She was giving her speech, and she's talking about the statues and how she don't mind them coming down. Throw them in a river. I don't care. But then she says, but let's leave it up to the communities.
I feel like honestly, she knows what everyone else should know is that it doesn't matter whether there are flags or not. It doesn't matter whether there are statues or not. It doesn't matter because those ideals, those false narratives are so deeply rooted in people's ideology that a statue doesn't matter.
Fix the history.
So the quote unquote right people remember, and the quote unquote right people know what to do and what not to do to continue padding their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
All it boils down to.
That's all it boils down to. And when it comes to the People's Party, that's why they are protesting both parties. because again, we have two parties that have been woefully inadequate with their ideals and things that they are proposing as far as the coronavirus. If we look at certain countries in Europe who automatically took care of the businesses and paid the people their same wages, and when we look around and see that they don't have the unemployment problems we're having, when we see that now they're only getting 56 new cases a week because people were willing to stay home because the government, they had incentives. And here we're Donald Trump, the Republicans, the Democrats, when they are both playing us. The CARES Act, the HEROES Act, there was only one senator that went against the HEROES Act. But people don't realize that these incremental things are not good for us. They are harming us. Because if we look at this, the stock market is doing just fine. And we're still down here hurt. Still hurt. They gave the stock market money in 3 days.
Man, I'm gonna say I have 2 points to that. One is the guy who called before and said, the Republicans are gonna vote against Trump. No, they're not. Trump is making too many people money. Too many people are getting paid off of Trump. So if they can get him back in office, he's definitely gonna be back in office. The other thing is to the People's Party movement. I like that idea. I feel like we definitely need people to stand up and hold this current administration accountable, because the type of change that we are looking for is not short-term change. It's long-term.
Yes.
We have to look at the short-term and the long-term. So while we are protesting, while we are marching, while we are putting on the pressure, we also have to start spreading the word about different ideas.
Yes.
The right, different political parties that are out there that we can back as one, as a people, as long as their agenda meets in line to what
with our agenda. Yeah.
And I feel like that's the problem. We don't really truly have an agenda. We have all these different movements and all these different agendas, but there is not one solid agenda that
not at all. And even when it comes to agenda and even the way that people feel, I was reading yesterday that I think it's 64% of African Americans that were polled were conservative, moderate to conservative, but 90% plus voted Democrat. And so I'm like, we're left and we right. We all over the place. And my thing is, yeah, and we know, but I think sometimes we just get people are afraid. They scare the hell out of you every election. They scare the hell out of you every election.
And I'm sorry to cut you off. This definitely is your show.
Go ahead.
My thing though is a lot of us, those 90% that voted for the Democrat side, that were on the Democrat side, how many of them actually made that decision with their own mind, their own thoughts on how the things are and how they should be, or how many of them just regurgitated what they have been taught year after year after year after year?
It's a constant narration of the same song.
You can't expect to be taught by your number one enemy and then do any better or anything different than what you already have. You've already done.
Right.
You are too complacent. Somebody said, "Oh, well, if we vote for the Green Party or another independent party, we're just going to create more years of complacency." But that is all we have got.
But this is the thing. But not giving that a try only leaves you with more complacency. You see what I'm saying? And that's why that hamster is running in the wheel. Well, if you do this, that's a vote for this guy. Well, if you do, so you mean all we're ever going to have is the choice of these two, because every single time it can't be a vote to somebody you don't like. And I'm gonna say something real quick. What makes me laugh is this: I have people say vote, and I agree. And they talk about the importance of voting, and they say you need to get out there and vote. And as soon as you say you're not going to vote for who they want you to vote for, it's vote for Trump. Now it's a problem. You see what I mean? Now it's a problem. So you want me to vote. It's not that. You don't want me to vote. You want me to vote for who you want me to vote for. Yeah. And And when it comes when it comes to us, when it comes to African Americans, when it comes to Black people, there's already this preconceived notion that you're going to vote for the Democrat. And so when people are saying, get out and vote, get out and vote, get out and vote, they're not, if they thought that you was going to go vote for a Republican or even vote for a third party, I guarantee you wouldn't be hearing this chant to go out and vote. I guarantee you, because they don't give a damn about you voting your predilection. They want you to vote for who they assume you're already gonna vote for. And that's where we get these problems. We can't even have a conversation without it always talking about, you can't be objective without somebody saying, well, you're a Donald Trump supporter. No, I don't support him. I don't support either one of them. I kind of want them both out the way. Or,
to me is someone made a comment saying the same thing you're saying, that if you write in your vote independent and to vote for Trump, people don't know how any of this works. And I'm like, well, the last time I checked, whoever I vote for is a vote for that person,
right,
not anybody else. So you know how any of this works.
Yeah, and they're talking about strategery and being strategic. Well, that person might not win, but it's one person, one vote. And so my thing is when they say, well, a third party can't win, I say, well, if you vote for them, they can. What are you talking about?
People were mad with Obama. They were pissed off. Back now, some are not.
Some do, some don't. There's still a lot of people that's pissed off at Obama.
That's a whole other discussion probably for another day, but I'm mad at our people too for they love Obama. They love Obama. What did he do for us? He loved police. He loved police. What did he do for us? But lock us up. The war on drugs. Oh, thank you. Sure did keep us safe. So, but yeah, that's fine.
Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Great call. Thank you. All right. Soapbox Heroes caller, you on the line. What's on your mind?
I have a question about you said that they went to the governor of California's home.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look at that while you ask. Go ahead.
So what would that be called? That politics by physical intimidation?
Politics by protest. They're not physically intimidating them. What they're doing is they're staying on the sidewalk.
You say it was.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Politics by intimidation. True. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I'm just asking, that's the way. That's what we're headed. That's the right way.
Is that the right way? No, I wouldn't say it's the right way. I'm saying it's sometimes effective. Sometimes what's most effective isn't always the right way. And so, it depends how much it means to you, whether if you want to do something the wrong way and get results or do it the right way and never get results. So, but also I will acknowledge when you do that, if there's a consequence to pay, you got to be ready for the consequence because you're doing the action, right?
Right.
And so, don't get me wrong. I recognize what you're saying. Blocking somebody from going to work is intimidating. All I'm saying is it worked. Now, whether it's right or wrong, that's up to whoever perception it is. Would I like it if somebody came and blocked my driveway? No. So I'm just being honest with you. Go ahead.
I would question, is that really a direct cause and effect? I mean, like the governor, I would assume the governor was not powerless to, cause action and go wherever he wants to go.
Well, the cause and effect, I'm sure he could have caused action, but again, it's the optics at the time. So again, it's going to be strategic. So if we do something and they come out here and they call the police and they start cracking heads, it's going to look bad. Now, you and I know that maybe that's just the way that the law works or they were in the wrong. But right now, it really don't matter if you're in the wrong. Everybody's fighting for viability. And politicians are they're acquiescing to sometimes people in the wrong. We talk about it all the time. we seen a part of a city got taken over. 4 people shot, a person killed, rapes, everything. And you see what I'm saying? And so was that right? No. But did it work for them at the moment? Yes. Did the politicians let them get away with it? Yes. So we in bizarro world. So bizarro things happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, as I'm looking at it, you're right.
is just the optics of the moment. I agree with that. And I'm just looking at it going, okay, we set this precedent, we set that precedent. How much of this is being allowed to be played out in order to be used against us later?
And how much of it is being played out just to be a ways to the means, just to get what they want from you, and then it might turn around on you. And there's something that we talk about a lot is overcorrection. you know what overcorrection could do? It could be just as much problem that needed to be corrected in the first place. And so, yeah, I do say watch out for doing things, and you got to be ready to pay the consequences. We talked about this last week. People that were rioting are now by the thousands getting arrested because they sat back and they let them riot, but now they're reviewing all the camera footage and they coming back to get you. Face recognition. And so, yeah, you can do it, but there just might be a consequence. So that's your battle to choose. Go ahead.
We always tell you, you can choose your actions, but you don't need to choose the consequences.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it, brother. You got something else?
I'm good. Have a good one.
You have a good one. You have a good one. And what he proposed was a great question. And I like that thought because he is saying, well, let's look at the other side of it. Because I did just kind of say, hey, this is what they're doing, and it worked. And so what he's doing is bringing more details. Is that the reason that it worked? Was it going to work if they didn't do that? Would he have done it anyway? Now, he's not saying this, but I'm expounding upon what he's saying by my interpretation of what he's saying. And I think it was a great, great question. Soapbox Heroes, caller, you on the line. What's on your mind?
Junior Urban.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, sure, not because you're Junior Urban.
Nah, that's all good.
Hey, man, look here. My girl called me and told me to call Tyrone and help me come get my sugar.
I'll come get your sugar. Go ahead.
Come get my sugar.
Oh, man, I got an 18-wheeler. I hope you got a lot. Right.
You gonna leave me in the barbecue pit, the grill, and your jukebox, your music box, and your clothes. That's it.
Say, man, and a barbecue grill ain't nothing without the master on the other side of it making it happen. It's just something that hold fire. Right. Right. Well, man, what's on your mind? What's on your mind? Did you go ahead?
Man, this is an interesting conversation you're having, brother. And it's enlightening. You know, it's the times have changed, and what they're doing now, they're going to the congressman houses and the Republicans, Senate, the Democrats. Hey, man, this is a new step, and now they're on the right track.
Yeah, I say go after everybody that's doing something wrong. Go after everybody that's fleecing the people. You get caught up going after one person and you let somebody else do something, you're just going to keep running side to side. Go get them all.
Right, Junior.
Yes, sir.
I picked off the radio for Michael Harris, man. You know what I told him?
What?
I said, Mike, there's every true victory that must be bloodshed. I know you Martin Luther King movement, and when you want to have radical movements like Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad, man, you starting to ride, trying to want to.
Well, what I would ask is this: can we look that up and back it up far as data? Back it up far as history. If we could back it up far as history, what can I say? Well, I love Michael. So look, we're gonna leave that. Yeah, I love Michael. So we're gonna leave that there. And I didn't hear the other half of it. So I don't know, what Michael's thoughts or perceptions or words would be. But I would say, if that rings true, then the facts would bear it out. And
Go ahead. Go.
And I say, and if that comes to flourishment now and it changes things, then we'll see it bear true again. But I'll be honest with you, I think as a people are very comfortable, even though we might seem like it. But if we look at history, as far as comfort, people are more comfortable now than they've ever been. And so when people get comfortable, you tend to take you know all that extra sacrificing and stuff. You don't want to do all that no more. Why I want to sacrifice and I'm comfortable? This is the best I've ever been, and that's what I believe. I agree. Go ahead.
But because this ball that's going now, we're getting a lot done.
A lot done.
And I was telling Mike, me and Mike homeboy, we live on the same side. I'm the North Shore sniper. Yeah. And I said, Mike, hey man, you mean to tell me Martin Luther King movement we should overcome, we should overcome, and Martin to get hit in the head with bricks knocking the white meat from our skull, that got it done? I don't think so. There are radical movement behind it, man. For every war, there was a victory. It was bloodshed. Wasn't it, Junior?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. And even with Martin Luther King, okay, the movement may have been a peaceful movement, but that don't mean there wasn't people packing and making a way for them before them and behind them. And, we had your H. Rap Browns. We had other people who were out there who at the same time. And so I think when we look at it, we can't water it down to just these people was getting hit in the head.
You're right, Junior. But look, it was one of my homeboys that lived in Pleasantville. Hampton.
Rodney Hampton. Yeah,
he lived in Pleasantville. His mama and my mama was best friends. I used to see him and go over there, and he had about 4 guys with him with trench coats on, and they had big guns in them trench coats. And the police or father, but they'll be behind them about 8 or 9 cars, but they just trail them. They never would run up on them, man.
Yeah, they'll never run up on them because they know they mean it. They know they mean it. Yeah, and look, and earlier when we were talking about comfort, let me ask you and tell me what you think, North Shore Sniper. I've noticed a difference in ideology in the Black community when it comes to age range. And I know that that's always been there. You always have, well, I don't know, I don't want to say always, but for a while, you've had the older Black people who think one way and the younger Black people who think another way, more revolutionary. And what I'm noticing and what I've noticed throughout time is the young people are always the energy behind said revolution. And so when we say, well, young people, you guys shut up, we have to remember that it's young people that move things. And so I think that we definitely always have to incorporate the knowledge of our elders and the wisdom. But I want to know, why do we have such a philosophical divide? And tell me if you think this could be part of the reason. I think there's 2 reasons. I think one of the reasons is we view media different, so we intake things different. And 2, I think it's comfort. A lot of older people are more comfortable because they've been through so much. And now they've reached a point to where it's more comfortable than it was when they were coming up. But the younger people, they were born into what they currently live in, so they're uncomfortable. So you see young people willing to act a way that is, people who are uncomfortable say, I'm not voting for neither one of y'all. We ready to jump over the broom, jump the bridge, and we go vote third party. I don't care what you say. And older people will say, no. We just need civility. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that thought?
Junior Urban, what I see in the generation X and the millennials, they floored me, man. They surprised me. I didn't think they really give a damn about nothing, but eating and spending money.
They care.
And when I seen them roll up like lions, I was like, whoa, I had them on. Social media with them,
hey man, they ain't taking no stuff.
Yeah, look. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Man, it was raised enough in them youngsters that we really didn't know.
Well, see, this is the thing. People try to calculate how youngsters feel by the amount of youngsters that vote. And I know this by sitting and talking with youngsters, many of them at a time, is something that I try to do often, just so I could get the perspective and the thoughts. And a lot of them feel like, no, we care. We may not vote. We go do stuff. We get out there and change stuff. And I've had one, in fact, he said it here on KCOH. He said, well, you know, I could set a vote or I could go out things. He said, I got a mentoring program. We teaching kids. We doing music with kids. He said, so what's more important, a vote or me going to do things because they feel as if their vote don't matter. And so what I'm saying is it don't mean that they don't care, but our means of calculation don't calculate their passion. You see what I mean?
Because they don't really show no emotion, but they make it happen. Man, that just spoiled old school me. You know, I said, shit, man. Oh, I'm sorry. And I said, man, it made me feel so good, man. And Tyrone, let me tell you what else, man. I got a lot of nieces and nephews.
Uh-huh.
Young people. If I tell you that they got some serious firepower, you can believe that. It ain't about the car cases loading up for the race boy no more. Man, these brothers got them.
And again, we think we're going to measure how much somebody cares by the amount of people that stand in line and vote. These kids are out here on something totally different. Totally different. And then look, and I would say this, if anybody wants the younger kids, the younger people to come back in the fold and vote, hold who you vote for accountable. Because when you vote for people and they can see when these people are getting away with stuff. I don't care how much you blame it or act like you don't see it. These youngsters see it. They got news that come in the palm of their hand 24 hours a day, 365 days a week. They not going for it. And that's why,
Youngsters believe in firepower, some serious firepower, man.
Yeah. They believe in firepower and they believe in change. And the young people, they saying, to hell with that slow change. We want this rapid change. And look, and this is why I can't be mad at them when I see them, when I see them come and bail out Wall Street in 3 days, $5 trillion.
And Michael Harris, I got kicked off the radio for this. I said, Mike, you better put them bombers down and start buying some guns.
Well, you know, we're encouraging each other to exercise our Second Amendment, and at this point in time, I don't see why not. I was talking to my mother last night. Well, she was calling. She was talking to my dad, and we talked about a pastor. He gave away a gun in his church. My mom said, and my mom, you know, we were raised in church constantly. My mom is a very spiritual woman who pays her time and her debt in church, and she said, I wouldn't mind a gun. My mom, I want a gun. I got a female cousin that just got done with her concealed carriers class. So these are things, these are realities that we're coming to and we're starting to embrace. And I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Amen, brother. Amen. And you know, we don't want to end up like Black Wall Street, how they wiped out all these big towns of black people that were successful. Man, you can't just come shoot us down. We put that Bible down. And we don't, if you gonna come get it, you can't come like no limit, all here and no real.
Look, how about this? You hold your Bible and your gun, get busy. Hold your Bible and your gun, get busy. Handle business, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And look, let me ask. Well, and look, and earlier we were playing Nancy Pelosi, and she was talking about the statues and how she don't care if you throw them away or whatever. But then she goes on to talk about her pride in Christopher Columbus Finding America. And my thing is this, the statues are one thing, but you're giving a revisionist history that's not true. So to me, the history, it's a lie. And so how can I applaud you for pretending that you don't care about the statues? But when she said it, I care about the history. So just listen closely. Yeah, you guys could take the statues, but you guys can't take the history that we put in these books. And that's the danger. That's the danger.
Don't you know if they put all the history of what they starting to do now on the Michael Harris show, the people that was on there today? Man, this is ain't no way in hell they do stuff about reparations, making education, free education for our kids. They got to give us something, man.
Well, what they're gonna do is give it to everybody. Oops, my bad. I know they shouldn't, but that's what I think gonna happen. Look, everything that comes up black ends up being for somebody else. AOC just a couple weeks ago said, hey, Latino people were black, Mexicans are black, Spanish people are black. And this is the thing. So if we go over the lineage of everybody come from Africa, but she's saying that now to jump on the reparations. It's just like affirmative action. Affirmative action was written specifically for black people and got watered down for everybody else. You see, it's just like the $5 Indians. The money was supposed to go to the real natives, but who jumped in line? And so, yeah, reparations that we may deserve them. I believe we keep the fight, keep the push.
Hey, man, look, how we gonna get reparations and we can't get a different check?
And that is why the People's Party is protesting on Saturday. And look, and this is my point. You can blame it on the Republicans or the Democrats. Ain't neither one of us gave us our reparations.
They front door and just go to that front door. Don't let them out the crowd.
Go to the door. But hey, let me let you get the last word. I appreciate the call. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, this is the only way, man. Change is rolling, and this thing is going the other way. And by you going to the senators and the Democrats, the House, yeah, get in their driveway and just let those pissed off because we got less money for stimulus than any country.
Right. Right. And look, it 96-0. Neither party voted against it. They are both terrible right now. And they just, this person said this.
Tell you what happened to me, man. I'm gonna just tell you how this stuff is fixed, man. And a lot of people in the radio land listen. I filed for the PPP loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got, they said, okay, well, I got approved for $11,600, right?
Right.
Guess how much did I pay you, Junior?
How much?
$1,000.
Wow.
They say when it got to the underwriters, Donald Trump and his people changed the game in the middle of the race.
Wow.
No, but I was approved for $11,600.
Wow. See, and while we're watching we're watching Gavin Newsom get approved. We're watching Kanye West get approved. We're watching big corporations getting approved. We watch Shaken State get some money. Now listen to this. I signed up for the PPP as well. And I'm waiting on the answer. I think it's going to be a no. And I have employees. I have people to pay. I have operation costs. I have jobs that I lost because of this. But I don't got nobody in high places. Go ahead.
Now you hear this from the North Shore place. You just hear the real stuff. I got approved at $11,600.
Wow.
$1,000, man. I called and they called and said, look, they changed the game in the middle of the race. They did it to underwriter, and the underwriter gave you $1,000.
Wow. Now, see, and again, when we come to the CARES Act, we have to remember the CARES Act was actually written way before coronavirus. And now a lot of people may not know that, but you could go look it up. It was written, I think, 2 years prior to the coronavirus. So all they did was just kind of change some wording. So you can't be surprised because this was an old bill that they wanted to pass anyway. And so, you know, any protections that should have been in there or any way to skirt around them protections was something that was already known. They just put it in there and say, well, you skirt the protections, you skirt the protections. That's what they do.
My mistake, Junior.
What's that?
I put Black American on it.
Oh, well, that's their mistake, not your mistake. Thank you for the call, man. Absolutely, I appreciate it. Absolutely. Hey, you guys, let me get over here. Tiffany Johnson, what's going on with you? Gotta look up ideology. Wait, let me see. I need glasses. Gotta look ideological subversion. It will show you how it works. Okay, I'm gonna look at that. Tony, what's going on with you, Tony M? Aqua Minaj. I think that was you on the call earlier. I appreciate the call. Look, before I go to break, matter of fact, we just gonna run through it. I want to talk about this real quick. The national protest at members of Congress homes to demand people's stimulus this Saturday. And again, I'm not telling you to go out and do it. You know, you're grown. Do what you want. Do what you feel is best for you. And when it comes to protests and things like that, if you're going to be standing on people's yards and doing stuff outside of the bounds of the law, be prepared to pay a consequence. That's it. And so if you feel as if, you know, I'm going to protest and I'm going to do whatever I need to do, if it turns into something and you're a part of whatever it turns into, just be ready for it. Because, see, protest isn't supposed to be comfortable for the protester or the protested. That's just part of the game. Like, you got to look at all of it, right? You know what you say, Tone? All he got was an advance of $1,000. That's all I got too. Tone, we're gonna advance me in advance. I need an advance. We losing money. And then they say, go back home, stay home. Contracts. Look, and this is something else that people aren't paying attention to. So let's say that I did 15 jobs separately, contracted them all separately, even if it's with one company. Coronavirus hits. Now all my jobs are done. Everything is billed, everything is sent in. And so, now we don't got no money, coronavirus. And so that's even been a reason for people not to pay people in the whole people. There's so many ripple down effects to this thing that we're not even getting all the way into. So many ripple effects. Let me read this real quick. It says, former presidential candidate Andrew Yang's Humanity Forward, member of the Yang Gang and Basic Income Advocates, joined the coalition. U.S. Rep. Jim McGovern agrees to meet with protesters, who will also host an outdoor town hall on the people's stimulus in Westcourt in Worcester, Massachusetts. 38 rallies are planned at homes of Democrats and Republicans, including Cory Booker, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, Chuck Schumer, Warren Davidson, Monica Fudge, Steny Hoyer, Nancy Pelosi, where her progressive challenger, Shahid Buttar, will join with the sound truck and a honking parade. So they're going to get in front of their house and honk and stuff like that. Now, personally, I think it's annoying. I think it's a nuisance. I don't think that that's peaceful. But I do think we are in a point in time, but not even just in this point in time, that sometimes things aren't going to be peaceful. They're not going to look the way that they should look. But because of the optics and where people are willing to acquiesce to it, just may work. So if you're running a play and it works, then run a play and it works. But again, like I'm saying, you guys, if you're listening, if there's a consequence to pay, you may have to pay the consequence. That's part of life, is deciding, do I want to pay the possible consequence? If you feel so inclined, then do you. Nothing to it. All right. The organizations are demanding the following in the people's stimulus. Now, this is the people's stimulus. They are mad at the horrid stimulus that was put out for the people that still have us trying to figure out if should I go to work and risk getting the virus, or should I be going out in public getting the virus? Should I go pick up this job because I need the money because I'm not getting none of these loans in which I wouldn't have needed because of this virus? Why aren't we doing things that other countries are doing when it comes to this virus, especially if you guys want to scare the hell out of us about the virus, but leave us twisted in the wind? All right, so this is what they want. Defund ballooning police budgets and divert funds back to school and social services. Medicare for all, monthly $2,000 cash for all, not some, all. All right, because right now everybody doesn't get them unemployment extensions. Everybody don't even qualify for unemployment. Even if you're a gig worker, they say if you're a gig worker, there are millions of people who are falling through all of these cracks. And all of those people, they don't care about no Republican or Democrat. They know that they're falling through the cracks and they're not getting anything. And I'm not talking about people who don't work, or you want to say is a bottom feeder, whatever label you want to put on people. I'm talking about regular, upstanding people trying to make their way in the world. Some of them aren't getting anything. All right. Then they want Medicare for all. They want to cover payroll to protect small businesses and jobs. Suspend rent and mortgage payment. Suspend debt payments, including student loan and credit card. Yes, debt. Because Visa is still knocking on the door, even though you don't got no job. All right. And so that's why they're going to get out there and they're going to protest. All right. They're going to get out there and they're going to say, hey, give up the loot. Give up the loot. Because people are in a bad way. People are in a bad way, you guys. And so, look, I'm going to do this too. I want to put this out there just in case there's somebody who don't know. There is another person running for president, not Kanye West either. And the sad part is, she's been in a race for a while. Now, we know the two major parties control the platforms as far as who can make debate stages and this and that, but she's a libertarian, okay? Her name is Jo Jorgensen, is the 2020 Libertarian Party presidential nominee. She was nominated at the Libertarian National Convention on May 23rd, 2020, becoming the first one to lead the political ticket, all right? Her running mate is an entrepreneur and podcaster, Jeremy Spike Cohen. All right, go down here. Let's look at a little bit of what she has to say. Let's look at a little bit of what she has to say. And in fact, she got a campaign ad. So let's listen to a little bit of her campaign ad and see what we get out of that. See what we get out of it. What is this lady talking about? What is she talking about?
Hi, I'm Dr. Jo Jorgensen, Libertarian candidate for president. There are over 40 million voters who share our libertarian ideals. We need to locate, activate, and motivate them to join our movement. My campaign will bring them in from out of the cold. Join my team at joj2020.com, and together we can break free from big government.
Right, and she's a libertarian here. We got another one here. I'm gonna just go ahead and play it. Let's see.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jo Jorgensen, Libertarian candidate for president. Are you tired of the media telling you you only have two choices, Donald or Joe Biden? I'm Jo Jorgensen, your third choice. As president, I will cut runaway spending, bring the troops home, and restore your civil liberties. Help me break the media blockade by joining my team at joj2020.com, and together we can break free from big government.
All right, and she got one more. I'm gonna go ahead and play it. We hear so much from the other candidates. It's only fair. I mean, if we are going to be considered, well, I'm going to consider myself a fair person a person who's going to look at all the politicians and give them all a chance and listen to them and be able to critique them. We got to give her one too. So let's see what else she got to say.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jo Jorgensen, Libertarian candidate for president. My friend Harry Brown used to say, government will break your legs, hand you a pair of crutches, and say, see, without us, you wouldn't be able to walk. The place to start isn't by taking away crutches, it's getting government to stop breaking legs.
All right, and so let me go down here real quick. Jo Jorgensen's campaign website says the U.S. should not build a wall along the southern border or separate children from adults who illegally attempt to cross the border. Jorgensen supports deporting illegal immigrants who commit serious crimes. She opposes local law enforcement detaining illegal immigrants and transferring them into federal immigration authorities unless the crime involves a victim and is serious. Healthcare. Jo Jorgensen's campaign website says Republicans and Democratic policies over the past 50 years are the reason healthcare has become so expensive. Their latest proposal to fix, well, she put in quotes, fix healthcare will further micromanage your doctors and restrict your access to service to care while failing to solve the underlying problem. They differ only on whether this should be done by private insurance companies or by government bureaucrats. This is the exact opposite of what needs to be done. We can reduce the cost of health care 75% by allowing real price competition and by sustainably reducing government and insurance company paperwork. This will make healthcare affordable make healthcare affordable for most Americans, while also reducing the cost of legacy programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA. All right. Economy, energy and environmental issues. Jo Jorgensen's campaign says, I will work to remove the government barriers to replacing coal burning and oil burning power plants in the United States with safe, non-polluting, high-tech nuclear power plants, and also off-grid use of solar power worldwide. I believe we need to consider the scientific and economic knowledge to care for our environment, not cherry-pick data to support a predetermined outcome. Most pollution is generated in developing countries. So reduced pollution worldwide requires cost-efficient, zero-emissions energy sources like nuclear, all right? Trade. Jo Jorgensen's campaign says, the freedom to trade and travel are fundamental to human liberty. As American citizens, we should be free to travel anywhere we choose and to buy and sell anywhere in the world. As president, I will use my constitutional authority to eliminate trade barriers and tariffs and work to repeal arbitrary quotas of the number of people who can legally enter the United States to work, visit, or reside. Economy. Jo Jorgensen's campaign website says the real cure for poverty is a vibrant economy that generates plentiful jobs and high wages, combined with an affordable cost of living. As president, I will work to eliminate policies that cripple economic growth. I will give special attention to regulations driving up cost of housing and healthcare, as well as those creating barriers to create new businesses entering professions. Finally, I will work to repeal laws and regulations that prevent individuals and charitable organizations from helping those in need. Education, Jo Jorgensen says, her campaign website says, the Department of Education has failed. In the 40 years the Department of Education has created, government spending in education has skyrocketed. While the quality of education has declined, students used to be able to work to work their way through college, graduate debt-free. As president, I will work to eliminate the Department of Education and return control of education to where it belongs, with parents, teachers, and students. Gun regulation. Jo Jorgensen says, her campaign website says, she opposes additional restrictions on the process of purchasing a gun. She also opposed allowing victims of gun violence to sue firearm dealers and manufacturers. Criminal justice. Jo Jorgensen's campaign website says communities should determine whether police officers are required to wear body cameras. She opposes the government hiring private companies to run prisons, solitary confinement for juveniles, mandatory minimums for people with drug charges, and the death penalty for drug traffickers. Her campaign website says convicted criminals should have the right to vote. All right. Foreign policy. Jo Jorgensen says on her campaign website, it's time to bring America to peace. It's time for America to stop participating in foreign wars. We must stop intersecting ourselves in them. Stop allowing ourselves to be drawn into them. We must stay out. She continues, I am proposing an American military force ready and able to defend the constitutional United States, America, Hawaii, and the U.S. territories against foreign attackers or invaders. I am proposing that we keep our government and military out of foreign wars, neutral, with free and open civilian trade between Americans and citizens of other countries. Last but not least, she has impeachment. Jo Jorgensen's campaign website does not include a position on the impeachment of Donald Trump. And so this was from Ballotopia. And there's other ways to find out. She has a website. And again, I'm not saying to vote for her. I'm saying go look at it. Because some of the stuff that I'm reading here is some hyperbole as well. The part about leaving it up to communities to determine whether police officers should wear body cameras, yeah, miss me with that. Miss me with that. That should be mandatory, period, point blank. But yeah, you guys, I just want you to know that there is another choice out there. Hey, stay tuned. We are going to be back. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with the wise words of wisdom. It is Friday. It is Friday. It is Friday. So yeah, you guys, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with the wise words of wisdom. We got to put him on the spot while it's hot. And we're going to get to it. Hey, you guys, we're going to take a quick break. We are going to be back right after this. Look, you guys, there was a lot to cover today. I know it wasn't real sexy. It wasn't real sexy, but we had to dress it down and go ahead and talk about it. This is Soapbox Heroes. My name is Tyrone Irvin, and we'll be right back right after this.
The Legacy, Civics, and Soul. 1230, The Source.
Have you dropped your denture or partial and cracked it? Has a tooth fallen off? No need to wait 2 or 3 days for a repair. At Sunnyside Dental, we have an in-house dental lab. In most cases, we can fix that denture or partial while you wait. Same day denture repair while you wait.
I'm gonna just do the
Call Sunnyside Dental. 713
our emotions.
1999.
Emotions are not facts.
713 738 Let's get that denture fixed, because you know what? You cannot go to church like that.
When you want to
Get that one right there.
with a delicious menu of southern fare and tons of flavor, you want to. In addition to select entrees of homemade meatloaf, tender oxtails, juicy pork chops, turkey wings, and cornbread, get the yummy sides, rice, yams, green beans, dressing, creamy macaroni and cheese, and Jody rice. Get specials on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the popular Sunday special of baked darn meat chicken that falls right off the bone, with mustard greens, cabbage, and broccoli and cheese casserole. You'll also find some awesome dessert.
Right, Tom. Insurance companies still ain't going to give discounts. Their goal is to make record profits and every month exceed predictions. Yeah, they got to beat the beat. They have to beat the beat. They got to make their money. Absolutely, Tom. Absolutely. Uh-huh.
All right, here on channel 4.
Is it not turning up? It's just tips. Yeah, you're right. Joe is having problems getting her own libertarian vote. I just wanted people to know that there's another candidate out there, just so they know.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Nothing. Oh, that might help. Oh, hold on. Try now. I'm sorry.
I can hear it now.
Yeah, that was my fault.
I'm good.
That was a lot of money. A lot of blacks up there, they got that shot of HIV.
Wow, really?
Oh, yeah.
This is fascinating. And so, well, let me ask you this in terms of what's going on currently. Do you think that that's possible again? Because we hear a lot of people talking about the actual vaccine
Oh, yes,
for the coronavirus. Do you think
true.
that's possible again?
It's very, very possible because they never go to sleep. We don't want to go to sleep. They don't sleep. They constantly trying to figure out a way to get rid of these black people. You know, they got them over here and they can't get rid of them. You know.
We are back. We are back. We are back, you guys. It is Friday. It's the end of the week. Thank you for coming. It's a blessing having you guys just come and listen and participate. Even if you listen and don't call, just your listenership, it means the world to us here. It means the world to us. We thank you for just being a part of it. And I am thankful for being able to be a part of such an historic institution. 12:30 a.m. The Source, KCOH by call letter. And look, you guys, it's the end of the week. And this is how we end the week. This is a tradition here. This is what we do. I talk so much throughout the week that I think it's best to end it with somebody else that I trust, somebody that I love, and somebody who has wise words of wisdom. He started writing these things and he would say, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. And like, you're great at it. And it just became a point to where, well, you know, I think we need to start letting the world hear these things because, one, it's very easy and it seems like, you know, it might take time, but it seems to come very naturally, but it's very important. And so I'm glad that we are able to do this and I hope that you guys enjoy it. But these are the wise words of wisdom. And I'm going to let my Pops go ahead and take it away from here. Pops, go ahead with the wise words of wisdom.
Feelings are emotions. Emotions are not facts. Because you feel a certain way does not make you correct. This has been Wise Words of Wisdom on Soapbox Heroes, KCOH 1230, The Source.
Hey, look, I pray you catch a wave that doesn't subside. This for the nappy-heads and heavy. With the nappy
It's thanks, Pops.
I pray you catch a wave.
Who's that? It's Tiffany. Tiffany Johnson. Hi, 3Ts. Where you been? Where you been? All right, Tom. All right, Tiffany, Betty Boo. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys. I'm gonna see you on the weekend. I'm gonna pop up and do some YouTube stuff. We setting up the podcast studio, so I'm gonna go ahead and run some tests and see what happens. You guys have a good weekend.